Hey, what's up, everybody? So, coming to you this morning with the what's next on Emanuel Navarrette, the newly crowned WBO Featherweight Champion of the world. That's 126. Navarrete fought on Friday, October 9th, when he main evented an ESPN card and defeated Ruben Villa, undefeated fighter from Salinas, to capture the WBO title by a 12-round unanimous decision, and what ended up being a pretty decent fight. I didn't get a chance to watch the fight. I saw the highlights because for some reason my Comcast wasn't working with ESPN up in my room where I was trying to watch it. So I actually missed the fight, but I followed it. I read up on it, and then I went and watched the highlights of it. And, you know, Navarrete outworked him, scored a couple knockdowns, some good ones too, first and I believe the fourth round, or third or fourth round, he knocked him down again. I'm surprised Villa went the distance. You know, Navarrete is a guy that wears you down, a good fighter, but Villa is a good boxer, southpaw. He gave Navarrete some trouble in the second half of the fight, brought the fight a little bit closer. I think the judges had it like 115, 112, so, you know, or something along those lines. So Villa was in the fight, and he did perform okay, you know, and well, but I think he was just outclassed by a better fighter, a guy with more experience. Navarrete winning a championship in the second weight class, you know, big deal. So now the big question is, what's next for Emanuel Navarrete now that he has the title at 126? So, you know, nobody really has stood out right away, you know, across the board. He said he wants Josh Warrington, the IBF champion, but unless Warrington, you know, Warrington has his own stuff going on. So I'm going to run it through the top 10 real quick, look at some of the, you know, the contenders and all that stuff, and I'll just take guys out if I don't think the fight's going to happen or can happen at all. I'm going to run them through the top 10 since we really don't know across the board. Start with number 10, Joet Gonzalez. Wouldn't completely rule this out. Gonzalez is a guy, he fights for top rank as well, like Navarrete, and he's a guy that fought Shakur Stevenson for this same belt last year and came up short, but he's coming off a nice win over Miguel Marriaga, former two-time world title challenger. I don't think this will be a bad matchup. He is a pretty decent boxer, so I'm not sure Navarrete, this is going to be his first choice, but because they're both top-ranked guys, I wouldn't be surprised if this fight happens, so we'll see. Number 9 at 126 is Jesse Magdaleno. This was supposed to be the fight that happened. I wouldn't be surprised if Magdaleno got the shot as long as they paid him better money. That's why he backed out of the fight, according to him. So if he gets a shot at Navarrete and they actually have some fans next time and can generate a gate and they're going to pay him more money, I think he might sign on for the fight. So I do think it's an option. They're both top-ranked guys. I think that's possible. At number next up is Isaac Dogboe, which would be a third fight between the two. I don't think this is going to be a rushed fight. I think Dogboe is going to want to work himself up into a third fight with Navarrete. And Navarrete, I think he's already beaten him decisively twice. He kicked the shit out of him in their rematch. I think he's probably just looking at other options first, but I don't think he completely rule it out. Next is Tuxko Nyambayar, former world title challenger. Not seeing this. This is PBC versus top rank, so they would really have to get together for this fight. I don't think they will. And what's his name? Nyambayar's up in the rankings of the WBC for a different title, so I'm not seeing this one. Next up, Jesus Rojas, former world champion. I don't see it. Rojas hasn't fought in a year and a half. I think they're going to slow roll him back out once he comes back. But yeah, I don't see this one. Shu Kan, the WBA champion from China, unification bout. If Kan beats Josh Warrington, Kid Galahad's the #1 contender in the IBF. I think it's possible that Kan would give up the IBF title in order to try to unify against Navarrete. You know, so it's there, possible. I'm gonna say on the less likely side, but definitely possible, because I do think he has a shot at beating Warrington if they fight, because that fight hasn't been agreed to yet. Next is Kid Galahad. Nope, not seeing it. He's mandatory to the winner of the possible Warrington and Shu Kan fight, so I don't see Galahad and Navarrete getting together, plus different promotions. Gary Russell Jr., the WBC champion, I don't see it. Russell would have to want the fight. If he would want the fight, then Top Rank and PBC would have to come together, which is another hurdle. I don't think Russell wants this fight. Not to say he would be completely opposed to it, but I think having to deal with PBC and Top Rank having to deal with each other, I just don't think this fight is in high demand, even though I'd love to see it. But yeah, I'm not seeing it. And then finally, undefeated Josh Warrington, the IBF champ. If Warrington were to beat Shukan, if they actually fight to unify belts, I don't think Warrington wants anything to do with Kid Galahad in a rematch, who's his mandatory #1 contender and would be next after Can. I think it's possible that he would give up the belt in order to unify against Navarrette. You know, I'm going to lean towards the less likely for now, but I'm not completely ruling it out because I do think that's possible. But Top Rank and Eddie Hearn and Matchroom would have to get together for that fight. I'm not saying it can't happen. So for Navarrete, I think his best possibilities are probably Joet Gonzalez or, what's his name, Jesse Magdaleno, possibly Isaac Dogbe. But one thing we know for sure, Navarrete will stay busy. I'm not expecting him to return until probably January at the earliest, February in that area, and hopefully it's against a top 10 guy. But all right, guys, that's the what's next on Emanuel Navarrete, the WBO featherweight champion at 126. Hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.